all it takes to really create a closed society at this point is a handful of deaths. Inadvertent, in self-defense, tasered to death, shot by accident, and that footage were played over and over on American television. You don't need a coup with headlines. After those deaths take place, people will be very much more afraid to speak up as an enraged citizenry, and that's how you witness a society closing down. There are other very dark scenarios, and I hope none of them ever play out, but what is disturbing is that so much legislation has been passed by this White House to make these scenarios possible. The 2007 Defense Authorization Act lets the president declare a state of emergency because he says so. There's no objective measure. So if there's, 25 protesters or 150 protesters upset about the vote in Delaware, the president can declare a state of emergency. And again, he can then, if he wants to suspend elections, he can suspend elections, or if he wants to suspend the count, he can suspend the count. If he wants to say, well, it's a state of emergency, it's not safe to transfer power to the incumbent, he can do that. I'm very distressed to see that Bloomberg is trying to do an end run around the will of the people, citing a crisis, the economic emergency, to justify his taking a third term or running for a third term, even though voters have already said term limits. These are worst-case scenarios. Am I happy that they've passed so much legislation to make this possible? I'm not. And from my study of closing societies, I know that it's not a good sign when legislation is passed making it easier for a leader to declare a state of emergency or martial law. I hope that all of these anxieties are baseless and there'll be a smooth transfer of power, as there has been for 200 years. Did the founders want us to be vigilant and proactive when our liberties are under threat? Absolutely. In a closing society, and I've studied the histories of closing societies, and that's how I came to argue in my first book that this is a sequel to, that we're seeing the 10 hallmarks of a closing society. It is only the prospect of prosecution that is a deterrent to the worst case scenario that Bush is now capable of with this deployment and with the declaration of an emergency, which he's free to do any day, according to laws he's passed. The fourth thing that we can do is refuse to accept Homeland Security money, lobby our city councils to refuse that money. It's tainted. Millions of dollars are being sent, as I've described, to militarizing police forces and even creating a kind of cash treasury to pay off lawsuits of citizens who've been brutalized or, illegally arrested. So that's no good. We have to not accept that money. And other things we can do are, again, to look at the 55 action steps at the end of Give Me Liberty, everything from how to write your own op-ed, how to become the media, how to do television, do radio, how to place these op-eds, how to leak to a reporter, how to frame a story, so that we can all raise the cry about not just this, but other subversions of liberty. And finally, when we've stabilized the republic, taking these other action steps to make sure that these laws are repealed, that we have a groundswell, a democracy movement, and you can get listeners to sign up on myamericaproject.org, a multi-million citizen democracy movement, transpartisan, to restore the Constitution, the rule of law.